30 years, the North American Roller Hockey Championships have been providing the premier roller hockey tournaments in the sport. Thousands of teams from all over the world have competed in hundreds of events over the last 3 decades. The NARCH Podcast showcases the great players, coaches, manufacturers, and rink owners that make the North American Roller Hockey Championships what it is today. We hope you enjoy the podcast and look forward to seeing you at a NARCH tournament very soon. And now to our host and the president of the North American Roller Hockey Championships, Daryn Goodwin.
Hi, welcome to the NARCH Podcast. My name is Daryn Goodwin, and I am the owner and president of the North American Roller Hockey Championships, better known as NARCH. I'm creating this podcast to tell the stories about players past and present who make up this great sport. There's a lot of great people to talk to and a lot of great stories to tell. So we think you're going to enjoy it, and we hope you enjoy this first episode with John Siemer and Dan Costanza. Thanks for playing NARCH. I am very excited to have this guy on the show. He is one of the best pro players in the sport right now, winning multiple pro titles with the Pama Labeda Golden Knights. He's also just puts on an absolute show in the skills competition, winning many fastest skaters as well as sniper competitions through the years. And he's what I would consider a NARCH lifer. Welcome, John Siemer. How are you, man?
Thanks for having me, D. Thanks for having me. I'm good. Just acclimating to the life here in Vegas. So all good vibes on my end.
Yeah, I know you just moved. We'll get into that a little bit later. I call you John. Like some people call you John. Some people call you John. Like what do you prefer, and how did that come about? I don't even know. I've always called you John.
Honestly, it was just a running joke. My dad used to say that I never listened the first time. So he had to say my name twice. So that's where the kind of joke happened. But everybody still calls me John. Even some kids that I coach call me Coach John. So I don't mind it either way. But yeah, it just kind of stuck. I think it always will.
So that explains why your line mates call you John, right?
Yeah,
kidding.
Exactly. You got to say it on the second time or else I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go back to the very beginning. Like, how did you, I think you were a West Covina kid, right? How did you get started in the sport?
Yeah, so I actually started in roller in West Covina. I started at 4 years old. Luckily, Brian Garland over there at the rink hooked me up with a pair of skates. And I wrote a letter to the newspaper, actually, and the rink donated some gear to me to play my first season. And actually, the guy that gave me my first stick was Zach Walters. My cousin lived right next door to him, and they would always play in his driveway, and it always looked like a blast. So I would always try to join in. And Zach had an extra stick, and he let me use it, and he just told me to keep it and hang on to it, and that's what I ended up using in my first season, and then. Obviously, you guys know that full circle, I actually ended up playing with and against Zach for a long time now. So it's kind of a real surreal moment for me.
Yeah, Zach's a stud. So tell me this, was it a righty or a lefty? And is that how, would you have been the other hand if it wasn't for the stick you got the first time, or what?
Honestly, maybe. I don't know. I think if Sabraj just given me a lefty, I probably would have been a lefty. But Zach beat him to it, gave me a righty, nice little flat, straight Madonna curve. I still remember, and kind of stuck with it. It was good on the backhand. That's all I know.
What age? Like, what are we talking here? How old were you? Were you 5? Were you 7? Were you 8?
I was 4, and Zach was, I believe, 11. Yeah, I think he was 11 at the time. I think he's 7 years older than me. Well,
let's fast forward a few years. I mean, I know, like a lot of kids, you weren't really on my radar until you were kind of a late teen, but you played NARCH from an early age. What were a few of those young teams that you remember?
Actually, I was just saying, my mom brought me a DVD from, I think it was 06 Cincinnati, if I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong there on the year, but 04 Cincinnati. So that was my first one. And I played with a random team that we put together with my ice hockey group, and we were called the Tour Edge. I think we played 2 or 3 years as the Tour Edge. as a team. And then I kind of took roller hockey more seriously and started venturing off and playing more at the rink and getting more involved with like the Labeda Warriors and the Colorado Kodiaks and all those teams that I kind of bounced around, and Excitement with George Brown, like I had all these different teams that I kind of ventured out and played with because I was just always doing roller all the time. And I just never wanted to miss a tournament. I never wanted to miss a division. I would play as many divisions, many games as I could every tournament just so I can get my money's worth, right? So that's kind of how it started for me.
One of my early memories of you as a player was I think you were on a Rocket Puck team too. I want to say it was 21U in San Jose. And again, like a good thrown together bunch of guys, you and a couple other studs. And you pulled a couple moves in that game where you kind of, you got on my radar. It's like, wow, this kid's kind of special. Like he's got something here. So yeah, I don't know if you remember that.
I think I played with a Rocket Puck team out there, and then I also played with my penalty box team, which our team was absolutely stacked, and we ended up losing to Fran scoring a hat trick on me or on our team in the championship game to just carry them to the final. I can't remember. I think it was the NARCH banner. That was what was that hyper team that you guys had on the banner for a while? Mm-hmm. That was Fran just scoring hatties everywhere. Back in the day when we had like Matt White, we had TK, we had Joey Doran, we had all these studs on our team that were like the name in the game at the time, right? And I was like just this young buck playing with these guys, and I didn't realize like what kind of group I had until we like later now that I look back on it, I'm like, damn,
Well, let me go back a little bit because you said something I wanted to ask you about anyway. So it sounds like you played ice and roller growing up kind of simultaneously. You didn't jump into ice a little later. You played it as did you get into both about the same time or what?
No, I started ice probably I would say 9 or 10. That's where I really started. I started on an independent team, or I started on Pasadena Maple Leafs first, and then I kind of ventured out and we played on this independent team. We played like 80 games a year, just against random divisions, random teams from different states, and we went on all these different tournaments and everything. And then I ended up finding my home in Ontario with the Stars for probably a good 4 or 5 years before I kind of ventured out again. But yeah, I didn't start ice until probably 4 or 5 years later than I did roller hockey. So I think that's back to the roller world.
It's pretty, I think back when you were playing and even before that was kind of a common path. I mean, Raf Rodriguez is a guy that comes to mind. I remember very well. I coached him as a young kid, and his dad, Rico, asked me, he's like, hey, what do you think about Raf playing ice? And, I gave him my opinion, said I thought it would be great. I thought he would excel at it. But he didn't start until, I think he started playing ice when he was 12, 11 at the earliest. I think it was 12. And full circles, he's made a living in the sport, runs a rink, he coaches teams, and I think he runs pure hockey. But I know he's busy. I know he's a lifer in the sport. Let's take it back. There's an iconic photo that you're part of, and this was in 2006. Stevie, can you bring up that photo from Toronto that I sent you? There you go. So that's you in the black, right, in the background, and Ethan's got his first cup. I mean, he was a maniac that tournament. I think he's probably 19 there, just turned 19. He played 18U, 21U, D1, and Pro, and this is when Michael Nyjar scored that game winner to give Pama their first NARCH Pro title, and so many iconic photos from that event taken by Ross Detman. Credit to him, but there you are, just being part of the celebration, huh?
Yeah, I think this was my first trip with Pama ever. I remember I wasn't going to be able to go because it was in Toronto, and I actually had my passport prior to it because of a ice hockey trip, and then Sabraj Nyjar actually helped me out and brought me along with the Pama crew, and that's why I jumped on like the Kodiaks, and I jumped on like the Excitement, and I jumped on all these random teams because I would just go with the Pama guys, and just whoever needed a guy, I would hop out there and try to help my best. So this was my first trip, and I think this is kind of where it all started. Like you said, he played 4 divisions. I think watching Ethan and Jerry and Joaquin and Pat and Zach and all these guys that I can go on and on and on about, they all played multiple divisions, and they were like my idols at the time, right? Like these are the guys that I played with, I grew up with, I pretty much wanted to be like, a lot. So I try to emulate that as best I could. I tried to play up. I try to be a tough guy, try to roll with all the punches. I was always the whipping boy basically, but I mean, I think it paid off, and I wouldn't change anything about it. So.
Well, you said you had passport issues, and the NIGers helped you out. What, they just sneak in the luggage department on the PJ, or what? How'd that work out?
No. I had a passport prior. They helped me out to get out there.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So I know, from that point on, like I said, I remember you the early days of San Jose, I think 08 and 10. In fact, I remember you kind of always being the guy too that would help piece together either a junior team or a D1 Pama team. Like you were kind of like ringleader of wrestling the kids and getting it together and kind of organizing. I was always kind of skeptical because I was like, all right, is this guy, is he going to have guys bell? Is he actually going to be able to come up with the money and yada, yada. Yeah. But, I would usually get a check from Pama for the entry, so I knew it was solid, and I knew you'd be able to get some kids together. So tell me about those days.
Yeah, no. Well, those days, like I said, those guys were my idols, but they were all 5s. I think Ethan's the closest one to me, and he's 5 years older than me. So I was never able really to play with those guys, so I always try to copy or try to do what I could to get my group going just like them, right? Like I would try to do a junior team. I try to do a D1 team. I try to make these like prospect teams to try to, get to Pama. And I think I'm still kind of doing that right now with younger teams. I'm trying to create a pathway to play in that pro division and to be on that pro team, right? Because I think a lot of kids in the roller hockey world know how good the pro hockey is in roller, right? Like it's fast paced, it's exciting. It's, it's not the same way. There's no AKS anymore where they're just dragging the puck back and kind of just hanging out for 30 minutes before they score 1 goal and then don't let you touch the puck again. Like it's kind of more fast paced and going back and forth. So I think it's a good little fit for me because I'm still doing what I was doing back then and trying to create a pathway and trying to create these avenues for kids and guys that I know. So I'm having fun doing it.
Yeah, we'll pick up some coaching conversation here in a little bit, but let's just keep going up this timeline of John at NARCh. I know we have footage from your first of many skills competitions in pro. You were just a kid. This is 2010. Stevie, can you bring that footage up from 2010? I know you did both. You did the fastest skater as well as the sniper competition, and I remember you scored.
I was the youngest one. I was the youngest one on the team. So at the time, they made me do the skater. I think it was me and Travis Fudge that both did the skater, and then everybody was invited to do the skills. So that's really what I wanted to do. But because I was the youngest, they made me do skater too, and I didn't really want to at the time.
And I think it was you and Anoy who did the sniper, if I remember right, because he
ended up winning it.
Yeah, he won it, and that was it was pretty cool for him because that's his hometown. So the one thing in 2010 that was a little bit frustrating is you guys wore T-shirts in the skills competition. I know you're sponsored by Mission. Like to me, there's two pet peeves I have. It's like guys in shorts in skills. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, and guys that aren't wearing their jerseys. So what's up with the T-shirts in that competition?
I mean, you know the Mission guys. I think we always had to be a little different, or something had to be a little bit flashy, or just kind of, I don't know. We had to see the mix.
Flashy, a gray T-shirt, one color. Yeah, that's pretty flashy. But
we had to be different. That was the main point. We had to be different from everybody else, and we did it together. So I think that was kind of the whole just behind it, right? We did everything kind of together, even if it was different.
I thought it was because, you guys were like you were kind of like the poor young team of the Mission Syndicate. And so they're like, well, we don't have jerseys. We'll just throw these guys in T-shirts. So that
was part of it. That was part of it. We were definitely on the reject team my first year. But I mean, like I said, it's worth it being the whipping boy for a little bit. So.
Well, you made an impact with that move, and I watched that move I'm still watching it, but many years to come, you did that move. Stevie, can we bring up that move in some different events? I want to say what impresses me is you've done this same move, and the goalies get amnesia, or maybe they know that you're doing it, and maybe you can even change the angle based on where their glove is, but. It's an impressive move, and I really haven't seen you flub it up. It seems like every time you try it, you pull it off. Tell me about how that move came about and how long it took you to perfect it.
Well, okay, honestly, it's not my move. I'm gonna give all credit to Jerry Osterkamp. I stole it from him, and I used to try it at every skills competition ever. That you guys ever had. And I would always be out within 2 shots because I would just try it both times and I would miss. I would have all the tacky max and whatever else you can think of on my blade and couldn't figure it out, right? So I think all those years of just trials and tribulations and, and just messing up all the time and being out right away, I think kind of made me just kind of figure out little things and figure out how to make it work and how to pick it up quicker and how to hold on to it when I release it and all that kind of stuff. So I think just all the failure over the years kind of has sparked up right in time for me to bring it out for pros. So worked out.
Well, when I think of pro skills in terms of nice moves in recent years, you come to mind, of course. John Chavo comes to mind. Ethan comes to mind. I mean, those are kind of the 3 ones that you guys have done stuff. Call it the last 7-8 years, where it's just kind of shock and awe value. Where you get these idiots on Instagram chirping, "Oh, well, let's see them do it in a nice," and they can all do it. Brandon Hawkins too. Like, yeah, you guys can all do it nice too, can't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. And I mean, it's not even it's just haters that can't do it, right? Yeah. I mean, everybody will hate and say that. Now it's all big on Instagram. Everybody loves it. Everybody sees it every day. I mean, you have footage from way back when, before Instagram was even a thing, and we were all doing it. So, I mean, roller hockey is kind of the innovator for that. I think it goes farther than just NARCh and farther than just I think guys like Robbie Schremp, back in the day, he got shunned for it. I think that ruined his chances in the NHL for a long time because he played too fancy like that, and guys like that kind of started me where I was like, oh, this guy plays ice and he's a roller guy, where I want to do that. I want to try that. I want to maybe pull that off in a game. I would just have these images in my head going, seeing different scenarios where it might work. Or, I mean, I've even thought about pulling my move in a game, right? Like driving to the net, if I could do it quick enough, it might work in the right scenario. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
So with you coaching ice now, and, I still am on my skates coaching local roller, you throw a bunch of pucks out, you see, kids have free time with the puck. And I guess I'm just old. I want to get your take on this. Like, I'm sure that you see kids they get the puck and they go straight to trying the Michigan behind the net rather than working on their shot or working on something they actually need work on. It's just, they're straight to it. Mm-hmm. And I've seen kids in tournaments, pull the Michigan move, but, if you ask them to hit 2 corners of the net with their shot, they probably couldn't even do it. What's your take on finding the balance in that?
Yeah, I'm kind of a stickler with it just because I know how I was, and I know how I practiced it. Like, that was something that I practiced, but it was like a special time. Like me and me and my buddies would practice certain moves for a little bit, but we'd always do like shooting. We'd always do posts. We'd always do targets. We'd always do like different angle shooting. We'd always do our stick handling in the neutral zone. We'd always do all that stuff before we did that kind of stuff. And I know nobody ever sees that. Everybody always just sees the fancy, right? So that's what they want to do. But yeah, we always did the work. And then there was a time where we would just mess around for a little bit. But it was always battles, always shooting, always playing games, always competing with each other before we would mess around and make moves up and do that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm a stickler with the kids with it because I don't want them to make the same mistakes that I did and kind of get in trouble for it. So.
Well, that's kind of refreshing to hear because, it should be kind of like, all right, if you're going to spend a little extra time on the rink, then practice it then, but don't forget about your fundamentals first because that's what's going to make you, a strong core hockey player. So I'm glad to hear you preaching what I would preach if I was on the ice coaching kids your age. So
trust me, some of the kids can't even do an inside edge, but they can do the Michigan. So I'm like, all right, we got to figure it out.
Yeah, right. There is one more skills move that I got to ask you about a little bit. I don't know what the hell you call it. You pulled it one year. In fact, I think you pulled it a few times, and Chavo's pulled it a few times, and I'm sure Ethan's pulled it a few times. But this one particular one in Irvine, I feel like you spun so quickly so many times to where it was like, what the hell just happened? Like, what goes through your mind coming up with that move, and how do you tell me about that? I don't even I'm at a loss of words.
I mean, everybody always did the one spin, like the pickup, scoop, and spin. So I was just always trying to be different. And so growing up in California, obviously, and on the West Coast, I loved in and out. So I just turned it into, I used to call it the double-double. I used to pick it up as fast as I could and just spin around quick, and try to catch the goalie or freeze the goalie on the first spin because they usually are expecting you to release it. So I just thought maybe if I hold it for one more spin, I'll freeze them that much more and find some net. So that's kind of where it came about, and just started randomly picking it up.
You froze the goalie. I think you froze my camera. I think you froze everyone. It's just like, what just happened? So that was a pretty sick move at the time. Let's get into your game as a player, though, because, tricks aside, which, you're obviously great at, you're a big part of the Pama Labeda Golden Knights. And, the compliment that I would have towards you, there's not a weakness in your game. But the thing that I think makes you better than other players in the sport, like you are an absolute animal on the penalty kill. Like you up top on the penalty kill, and you're very strong with the puck. I think I've seen you reverse it, guys, more than anybody in NARCH Pro history. So I know you work out. I know you have big thighs. That's part of your part of what makes you the special player you are. How did you develop that, and how do you see that as an important part of your game?
Honestly, I could just hear my dad in the back of my head just always yelling skate. I was never not allowed to work hard, so I think that's kind of where it came from originally. But then I realized, like, when I'm doing that and playing that way consistently, it just benefits me more and more. I mean, even with Pama, I kind of have switched shifted the way I play because just a different role, different scenario, right? Like you have to adapt to different players. You have to play a different role when you got like guys like Travis and Junior. Like these guys are skilled out of their mind, right? So it's like I'm not going to be that skilled guy if we have guys like that, and Ethan too, right? Like those guys are all those skilled highlight guys that you see all the time, right? Somebody's got to do the dirty work, and I feel like taking pride of that in that and doing that on the PK and doing that just every shift and trying to grind guys out. I think that's kind of where I feel happy and I feel at home, kind of like I'm being a part of something more than just a highlight, right? So I think that's how you win championships. That's kind of the image I try to show for my kids now that I coach and all that, right? So that's a big thing for me.
No, you're great at it. And one in particular that comes to mind, it was during it was kind of like, you don't know when COVID's going to end. We can go to the rink. We can't go to the rink. You know, that was probably the most miserable time of my life as a guy running events. But we had a tournament where the Roadrunners came out. Everyone was dying to play. It was in Corona against you guys. Incredible game. Back and forth battle. You guys were shorthanded, and there was a shift that you had that just sticks in my mind where it was just battle, win a battle, take a shot, win a battle, and then you ultimately pulled the Michigan move to win the game. So here it is now. So you're killing time in the other zone, killing time, battling two guys, still with the puck. Go in, nice save there. Guess who's got the puck again? Yeah. Boom. That was pretty nuts, man. So, when I think of John, that's a goal. That's one of top three for sure. Maybe the one that I think of the most with just the way you play.
Yeah. I think that kind of shows you that, it shows that I do the gritty stuff. I can pull out the fancy stuff if I need to, but really, how I got the opportunity was all the hard work before it, right? I created space. I held onto the puck. I was patient. I was first on the puck at every battle again. There's little things that lead up to that goal, but that's definitely a number one or two for me at NARCH finals. So I don't know. I think that one might be the top, actually. That one was a good one.
Nice.
But even though we lost that game, kudos to Maxie. Max Alverson is an elite guy. The guy always gets those big goals, and he tied it up against us after that one, and they ended up getting the winner on us. But
it's funny you bring him up.
Remember that goal.
He's turned into quite the player, and I remember him, a few years ago in Atlanta, a couple years. He's a little bit younger. He's not the biggest guy in terms of his build and stuff. Kind of a leaner, smoother guy. But when I think of your reverse hits, you put him on his ass one time as he was coming at you. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember
yes,
that.
I do.
Yeah.
His cage went through my ear.
Oh.
His cage. I have a whole slice in my ear right here because of his cage. I remember that. Yeah, that one was a painful one. I do remember that. That was, But he's an unreal player. And it's rightfully.
It looked like it was more painful
after that.
It looked like it was more painful for him than you on that particular play that I remember. But let's jump to the. Sorry, I got stuff going off. The here and now. You recently moved to Las Vegas. Maybe you'll have time soon to put some of those trophy on your trophy case there behind it, because it looks like you're living in an apartment as a 19-year-old behind you right now. So you got to get stuff out of the garage, bud.
Hey, well, that's what happens when you go from apartment to a house, right? It always looks like you got a lot less than you thought you did. So, we're still kind of piecing things together and everything. So, yeah, a little bare right now, but we're picking it up. My wife's not going to be too happy about that comment, but.
And Nicole is happy with the move. Is she excited about Las Vegas?
Yeah, she's really excited. She's liking our home and liking getting adapted here, and just that the kids can play outside and just kind of not be in our hair, and looking to us to just constantly be the fun, right? Like that she can go make her own fun outside and be a kid and not look to mom and dad to entertain her in the apartment all day long like we were, right? So I think it's just better for all of us. A lot more space, a lot more opportunities out here when it comes to hockey. I think everybody in California is kind of, I don't know, I would say there's a lot of people doing the same things out there, where out here it's not as much, right? Like out here, there's some things that aren't really being touched or tapped into yet. And I think that's kind of what I hope to kind of do while I'm out here, and try to maybe get some more roller hockey going out here, and eventually have a rink out here, and maybe hold an arch and all that kind of good stuff. That's my vision for the next five years or so.
What program are you going to be coaching? What's your home rink out there?
So I'll be coaching at the Las Vegas Ice Center with the Las Vegas Storm. I'll be coaching 10 UA, 14 UA, and then I'll also be coaching with the Bishop Gorman high school team. I'll be assisting with the varsity and the D3 varsity team as well. So staying busy.
Yeah.
Staying busy, but I'm on, I got to get in front of a lot of faces. I'm a brand new guy out here trying to get back to the lesson scene, get back to all the faces and familiarities and stuff like that around the rink. So just trying to get my face out there as much as I can while I can. So
I'm sure you're going to crush it. I mean, once people see you at the rink, understand your passion, see your knowledge, I don't think it's going to take long at all for you to be very successful on the ice out there. And hopefully you can spark I know there's no rink out there at the current time, but I would love to see you spark a roller hockey program, and we touched a little on that. So hopefully that works out for you as well if you got the time to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's like I said, that's my plan. I want roller hockey to be here. I think it only makes sense with how much hockey's growing here. I think it'll pick up just kind of where it left off, and I think it'll even be better because of guys like Bedard, and you got all these new players in the NHL that are advocates for rollers, like a lot, right? Like they're all speaking so highly of roller and how much they played and how it helped their game and how it helped them develop the mindset and the patience and just the control, all that kind of stuff, right? Like that's you do create some bad habits with skating, but that's if you're lazy, right? If you're working hard, those habits don't happen. And I think roller hockey is only going to benefit you. So I look forward to bringing it here.
Well, I think it's a little bit ironic that your rink there that you're going to spend so many hours at is a rink we used to have winter nationals at every year. I don't know if you were too young to remember that, but
I never
that was one of those epic places to hold our winter nationals event. And with only 2 rinks, we actually held it over 2 weekends. We would do, I think we'd do like platinum one weekend and then gold silver the next weekend. And I think we had men's on both weekends, but a lot of good times. At what used to be Crystal Palace there, that's now the what is it? The ice is it the Ice Palace now?
Ice Center, Las Vegas Ice Center. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I know. I've ever since I moved over here, everybody's found out that I'm a roller guy, and they're like, "Do you remember when this was roller rink?" I'm like, "I had no idea."
Yeah.
I think I remember playing there as like a peewee. That's as far back as I can remember playing in Vegas as a peewee, maybe squirts, but it was always ice when I was there. I don't think it was ever roller when I was around or playing roller. I don't know.
Well, let's a couple more things and we'll let you go. I know you're a busy guy, probably got the kids to attend to. But speaking of the kids, so Charlie and Carson's your newborn, right? Just, He was fresh at internationals. I know that. So 5 months old?
Yeah, he's 5 months now. Yeah, 5 months. He's a big chunker. Already wearing 9-month clothes.
So what's cool to me is it seems like every time we take a photo of Pama Labeda Golden Knights, every 6 months there's like another new baby and another new baby. It seems like probably I would say 50% of your team have newborns, which excites me because with all of you guys still being such an important part of the sport, there's no doubt in my mind that Jan, Ethan's kid and your son and others that have kids, they're all gonna, hopefully you guys are still so heavily involved that we got a whole new crew of Golden Knights and not just you guys, but other people having babies throughout the sport, which is awesome to see some second generation growth.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's like really a big point for our team right now. I think that's kind of like our feel of our team as well as like a big family, right? Like all the kids get to be together. There's a lot of guys on our team with babies that are around the same age, and even the guys that are pretty much same age, So it's nice to have that and not feel like you're at the roller rink kind of alone or just like you got to hurry out because of your family. You can kind of hang out and be comfortable and do the normal thing that you would usually do at the rink because your family's there, other families are there. It kind of turns into just a big gathering where it's kind of just relaxed and everybody can kind of mingle and just hang out and be one. It's one whole group, so it's nice.
Yeah, for sure. The wives can hang out, the kids can play together. That's awesome stuff. So I know we're going to see you this weekend. We got a huge regional coming up. You're in Vegas now, but you're going to be coming back to not only play in the pro division, but coach some teams that with kids that you coached in roller and ice out here. How many teams are you coaching this weekend?
So I'll be with the 16s. I'll be with the girls team. We're actually playing up in women's, and we're going to have a few of the the actual women pro team play with us to kind of lead the girls and show them the way. So that'll be fun. And then I will be doing a 14U team as well. I kind of passed the reins on a couple other teams where they're going to kind of take care of themselves, but there's going to be other Pama Labeda teams. There's a 2012 team involved, and then there's another 18U team involved as well. So there'll be a lot of showing for Pama Golden Knights. So it'll be a nice look for us to see those jerseys around the ring, just buzzing around.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know that other teams and programs don't like to see so many of them because I know they're all pretty strong. But congrats for helping build that program with the younger ages. Wish you huge success in Vegas. Get back to Irvine this weekend safely, and we'll see you and the family probably on Friday morning, if not Thursday evening. So appreciated the time you spent today, and you're one of my favorite people in the sport. So thanks for being you, John.
Awesome, D. Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I'm excited to get going again. I mean, obviously, summer run's just starting, so I'm looking forward to roller and seeing what we can do. So, thanks again.
It's great. You're welcome. Take care. All right, we're very excited about our guest today. He's won NARCH Pro with the Tour Mudcats. He's won 6 world championships with Team USA. Now he's a little better known for the head coach and main guy behind developing IRHL Golden Knights. How you doing, Dan Costanza?
I'm doing great, Daryn. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I've known you for a long, long time, but thought you'd be a good guy to kick this off with to talk a little bit of old and a lot of new, because I just saw you, 2 weeks ago in Chicago, and we'll get on that event towards the end of the broadcast. But my first question is, how did you get into the sport originally, and when did that happen?
I got into the sport. I was actually, as a kid, I always kind of rollerblade in the basement and stuff, but I was actually playing junior ice hockey in Minnesota, and we all know, unfortunately, actually the passing of Dave Fromm is actually the one that got me involved in my first ever tournament. I was living in Minnesota, and he asked me to play in a tournament, and I got kicked off with the Minnesota team with Nick Parnell and a bunch of the guys with the old Ultra Wheels, and that's kind of how I kicked off my roller hockey career and how I fell in love with this sport, thanks to Dave Fromm.
So for a timing standpoint, we're talking mid to late 90s at that point, correct?
Yeah, mid to late 90s. So I was juniors. I was probably just about turning 20, 21 years old, and was living downtown Minneapolis, and they took the rink, melted the ice, and we played on the old hard, regular hard concrete with, I think it was even a ball at that time, at the rink that we were playing, and, got to go to my first tournament with them, and it was the tournament actually here in Chicago, the Odeum. Your first NARCH at the Odeum was my first roller hockey tournament with NARCH, so I ended up, getting asked to try out for that USA team that first year and didn't make it, and the next year I tried out and, did it for the, 9-10 years. So, thanks to, again, to Dave and me living in Minnesota was how I got my career started with roller hockey.
Yeah, what a run. I remember Dave running that league. It was called Dangle Roller Hockey way back in the day. He had 400 players, and it was on concrete. I remember that well. So,
Yep. A lot of good players out of there.
I mean, I knew you had played for him. I was actually talking to CJ Yoder the other night, and I was trying to remember the first time I remember you as the Mudcats, and 02 in Minnesota. I remember you played on the Mudcats, and you guys lost to Team Hyper. And I remember you weren't too happy after that championships. I mean, everyone's always bummed out after losing a big game like that, but I came across a few photos of you pretty discouraged after that game. So it's kind of funny to reflect back on.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately had a lot of second places, so those losses with the Mudcats seem to used to take them pretty hard. So.
Yeah, you would think you'd get used to it, right? You're kind of the Buffalo Bills of roller hockey there for a while. But
yeah. Yes, we were.
So
Unfortunately, we were.
after that, we dug up a few photos. '03 Winter Nationals in Las Vegas. You remember that place, Crystal Palace?
Yes, we used to go there every January for tournaments, and ended up bringing my ice hockey teams that I was coaching with along for the ride. So yeah, I missed that place.
Right on. Hey, Stevie, can you bring up a few of those photos from that tournament back then? There he is.
Oh, man.
You were always around the net, always good hands. You scored a lot of goals back in the day.
That was probably the bottom of the power play, and had guys like CJ and Brian Yingling and Ron Tracy, with me, get me the puck. So it wasn't too hard to do too much down there.
So, I remember you in those years, and then you kind of disappeared for a while. I guess to have a family, you've got 3 kids, and they all play now. Ryan and Connor and Paige. Paige, your little sweetheart, young goalie, and it's neat that you've got the whole family involved. You've started a program. How did that transition in your life go?
It started kind of when Ryan was, a young 6U, and I wanted him to started into roller hockey, and I just started putting my first tournament team together. And each year that we went on, people would start asking, what's he doing in the summer, or what's these pictures of him playing, and every year it went from, 1 team to 2 teams to, before I knew it, I had, 15 teams going to State Wars. And, 2 years ago now, our first time that we, went to NARCh finals in California, which I never actually had for some reason, Mudcats never actually played out there in California. So I never had the honor to play there when I was a kid. So just having my kids along with the ride and seeing them play in these awesome tournaments that I didn't get to do as a kid has been an unbelievable experience.
Now, you coach ice as well. Were you always a full-time hockey guy where you're making a living in the sport, or did you take a break, do something else, and now you're back into it, or is this just moonlighting for you?
No, I was actually working for FedEx Ground for a while, and then as the COVID hit and roller hockey for the program for IRHL here was kind of taken off, at that point I was just done with FedEx and decided to make the IRHL program my full-time gig, and then coach ice hockey in the winter, which allows me to be around my kids and my family and not miss as much as I was before. Like I said, going to the rink every night or the weekend to me is not work. It's enjoyable, and it's around a bunch of family and friends doing something I love to do. So again, once the summer comes for roller, everybody's kind of understand that my family takes off and we're gone for the summer for roller hockey. So my kids love it and I love it. So we're trying to build as much as we can here in Chicago.
That's awesome. I'm sure you're creating so many great family memories that you're going to look back on when your kids are in college, like mine are now, wishing that they were the age of your kids. So that's awesome to hear. With you doing ice and roller in Chicago, obviously that's a huge ice market. How do you? I've seen you share a lot of the stuff we do with the NHL players and so forth to try to convince people that, hey, this is a great sport, you should play. Tell me about that process and how it works for you.
We do a bunch of drop-in just games here where I let the kids just sign up. They pay their money, they sign up. We've got a couple of referees out there and they just play games. Once I kind of get the kids out there, they want to just keep coming back. Usually half the battle is obviously getting them out there. But the fortunate thing is that I've kind of grown the program so big that I have kids from probably 15 different organizations around Illinois here. So with that widespread, everybody kind of sees the jerseys, kind of sees the posts. It kind of helps market everything. It's just kind of grown to something that I never actually thought would be this big, and it's been an unbelievable moment. And again, all the families that I have in this program have been a great support, and have actually helped me bring on new kids and grow the sport with me. So it's been an unbelievable ride so far, and looking forward to where the future is going to keep going with this.
Well, I know the NHL playoffs just started. Have you had a chance to watch any of that action yet, or not really?
A couple of periods here and there. Just been so busy
Yeah.
with the ice hockey. I'm going out of town this weekend and sending teams to Midwest Wars. So just a lot going on. But yeah, it's been great to watch, and especially when some of these games you're watching all the guys that played in NARCh Pro or now are playing in the NHL and stuff like that. So it's awesome to watch.
Well, that's where I was going with the conversation. Yeah. So you've got Pat Maroon now on the Bruins, and Brandon Carlo, who he also played for Frommer when he was young, which is cool. But I've never been a Bruins fan, but I got to root for him this year since there's two guys. Like, that would be the first, if they were to win, it'd be the first time that there's two NARCh players to get their cup, the name on the cup the same year. But there are other guys that are doing well too. Jason Zucker had a nice snipe the other night for Nashville, and he's the longtime NARCh guy from Vegas. So it's always great to see, and I try to point it out as much as I can, because I know it helps guys like you, especially in the ice markets, where it legitimizes the sport a bit.
Yeah, and it helps. It helps when you see these posts like Brandon Hawkins being like the player MVP of the East Coast Hockey League, and at all these different levels, whether it's college, East Coast. Heck, we had Max. How do you say his last name, from the Golden Knights here in Chicago, was playing for the Wolves this year. Yeah, Max, so you just see at every level these guys thriving and seeing what they're doing, in the summer, and it's just great to see. So that also, it helps big time here in Chicago. Especially, there was a lot of coaches in the, my early 20s that if you played roller hockey, you were an idiot and it was going to ruin your stride and stuff. So it's just great to see where the sport's really come.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about the NARCh finals. You've brought teams the last 2 years. You've had a success both times. Stevie, can we go to any of that, and we'll just kind of walk through some of the shots you might have? Dan, so that looks like your 8U team there, huh?
Yeah, that's the 18. Looks like the 2015s and 14s birth years, obviously. Great group of kids, great weekend for them, and it was just a total blast.
Well, you had a couple other teams medal as well. I know there you go. That's what, your 12s, I believe?
12Us, yep. Looks like the 12Us. I had some 10Us playing up, but it looks like the 12Us. Seems like those 10U kids, or those kids, when they're playing two divisions, always seem to play a little bit better when they play up and not win their own division. But heck, there's, they just like us playing as many games as they can possible when they're out there. So obviously playing the two divisions is unbelievable for them.
Well, one of the funnest divisions for me to watch was that 16U Platinum last year. Excuse me. If I have to be honest, I didn't have you guys on my radar to win it. I mean, you played solid games, but that division was so deep in talent. Maybe I got a little awestruck with some of the guys in some of the moves and some of the goals, and caught watching like Rockets versus Zulu 10-8 game where it seemed like everybody could score. But at the end of it, teams that play good defense win championships, and it seemed like that was the case with your group here to win it all at the NARCh finals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you either. And ever, going into that team, I knew we had a really, really good team. I didn't know if we could win the whole tournament. We just basically had a really solid team with an outstanding goalie from Brazil that really helped us out. We have a core of players now that have been playing together for now 2 or 3 years, about 4 or 5 of them that really have come a long way. One of them is actually a goalie that plays out. One of them is my son that's an 09 playing up. There's just, like I said, a core that have come a long way. We had a huge couple of pickups locally. But, it's really that team. It goes with Adrian Wisniewski. He has come so far in the last 4 or 5 years since I've had coaching him. He ended up playing for the USA team last year, and he just controls the whole game. And without him, not sure where this team would go. Where would they be this last couple of tournaments that we've had some great success. I think they've won 3 or 4 tournaments in a row, and again, it's a lot to do with Adrian just kind of taking charge of that team and being the leader. So. It's been a blast.
It's funny you bring him up.
Yeah.
I saw him sorry to interrupt you. I saw him in Chicago.
No,
I was going to bring him up at the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm coaching that team this year, and I don't think there's any way in the world he's not going to be selected on that team. It's not 100% my say so, but I'm not saying I'm going to quit if he doesn't make the team, but he's going to be on the team. He's that kind of dynamic player, and he doesn't try to do too much. He does everything well. Even in Chicago last week, he dominated 18s, and he was also a big part of his men's team winning as well. So yeah, hell of a player, and I'm excited to coach him in September, and I'm excited to see him at the NARCh finals this summer as well. Who are you thinking you're going to bring this summer to the finals?
The plan is to bring a 6U, 8U, 10U, 12U, 14U, 6U, and 18U. Just depends on whether I'll have one or two teams at each age division. It's kind of in the mix of still finding out, how long people can stay, if they can stay for two divisions, and trying to round those off some of those teams. But again, it's this will be 3 years in a row, and my families have become used to of making their family vacation around the tournament, and nothing better than seeing the awesome atmosphere that we had last year with all the teams from all over the place last year was just an unbelievable feeling. So we're looking forward to making some more noise out there and, having some more great family experiences.
Well, I'm sure your program is going to be a big part of it, and you're going to get every bit of that experience and probably more this year with even more international teams. I don't think we'll have the same contingency from Taipei that we had, but in terms of we're going to have a lot of international participation, and the vibe's going to be great at the facility for sure. So excited to have you be part of that. Question for you. Do you get, being from the Midwest and not that many, I know a lot of individuals just kind of find teams, but whether it's Farm Tough or whether it's, kids from St. Louis, do you get people hitting you up going, hey, we'd like to go to California. Can we jump on your squad, or not so much?
Yeah, we do. Actually, on my website, we have kind of on our roller club page, we have just a registration where people can go on there and they just sign up for what tournaments that they're interested in playing with us. And then if we have room and have spots available, then we fill those from outside the club. We always try to take care of all the kids in our club first, but we're always looking for players. So I would say the last couple of years, we've obviously, with the great partnership with Farm Tough and working together with them, we've had a lot of Farm Tough kids come play with us. We've had some local kids. We've had a Hawaii kid, Brazil, a couple of St. Louis. So every year, it seems like now we're getting a couple of more kids to play with us, and it's been a great experience. Bringing these new families in and kind of just growing our organization, as we go here. So it's been a great feeling.
How old are you now? Like 48-ish?
49. Yeah, just turned 49.
When did you turn 50?
26, so.
Oh, you just turned 49. All right. You got one more year. We just added a 50 plus, and I'm thinking I was going to put you on the spot and make you play for me this summer, but sounds like you got one more year before you qualify for it. But we're excited that, all the old guys, it'll be nice. 50 plus will be nice because, being in your early 50s, chasing around a dude that just turned 40 is, it's a pretty big gap. It's a lot bigger than being 40 chasing down a 30-year-old. So it's tough, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I think a lot of guys are going to come out of the woodwork to play this summer. So I'm excited for that old division. So
yeah, that'll be fun.
Couple of before I let you go, a couple of things. Let's recap Chicago a little bit. We were just out there. It was a fun regional. Only one rink at Salt Creek Sports Center. Nice facility. Fun atmosphere. They got a bar, restaurant. Well, snack bar, let's call it. But I know that's your home rink. How did the event go from your standpoint?
I thought that event went great. Exactly what I expected it to be. Everything was well run. Obviously, we're still trying to grow the sport here in Chicago, so I felt like it was a need for us to get you back here and I think it's been, 3 years since the last time you were here? Or how long has it been? Might even be longer than that.
Yeah, I think it's more like 5, possibly 6, but at least 4 or 5. It was pre-COVID.
Yeah, so it was pre-COVID, so we haven't had a tournament here, and for us, I think that's a huge part for growing it locally, is having something local instead of having to make these people keep traveling and going out of town to find a good tournament. So I think it's going to be a huge success for us in the future here, and hopefully we can get some of these St. Louis and Detroit teams to come down to this great facility we have and get 3 or 4 great programs, and it can be a great weekend. So hopefully we continue to grow it for next year.
Well, here's what's tough. I mean, from my standpoint, we still started at 1:00 on Friday, and, it wasn't – it was a good event, but if we get one more program that has, say, 5 or 6 teams, all of a sudden we're starting at 7 a.m. on Friday – and the tournament's full. With one rink, we're really especially if we do the full gambit of divisions, we're really handcuffed into how many teams we can take. And weekends that time of year are so tough to come by. It would be hard to do, the youth one weekend and men's the next. I'm always looking to try to make it the best experience possible. But yeah, I think if we do it next year, it sells out, no problem. And whoever waits to register will end up on the outside looking in. But let's talk about a couple of the divisions. So 6s and 8s, it was basically just you and Peter throwing kids together to make it a fun atmosphere to at least have divisions for those guys. So, which is always important to have those in a tournament.
Yeah, and like I said, that's why I think getting those kids involved in that tournament and seeing what's out there, and kind of gives them something to look forward to for next year locally. And unfortunately, roller hockey here is still not as big as it needs to be. So again, it gets them that tournament atmosphere, and I think the kids getting that medal at the end and playing games, I had nothing but good good compliments and saying the kids had a blast. So I think the more we do that, the better off we are in the future.
Well, just kind of jumping up through the divisions, things that stood out in my head. I remember 12s, there was a game where I looked out on the rink and 6 of the 8 players on the rink, besides the goalies, which I think your daughter was actually in that game too. I want to say it was 12U. So it seems like there's a lot of female participation in the sport in that market. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I obviously with my daughter playing, I've been trying to kind of grow the girls' side a little bit. I would say Peter's program has a little bit more older girls, where I'm coming up with the younger girls just because of my daughter. But anytime we can get more girls involved and hopefully, finally eventually get our own girls team as they get a little bit older here would be a great thing to have for the program. So, it's great to see.
Yeah, Peter's Farm Tough team was one of the teams I was referring to in 12U. I think they were loaded with girls, and they're good. They're very good players, good skaters. So it'd be exciting to see where that goes. Moving up the divisions, 14U, that was kind of, it wasn't a big division. You guys kind of dominated that division. You are absolutely loaded with 09. So that seemed more of like the championship was more of like a fun scrimmage for bragging rights more than anything, but a lot of talent on the rink, and it was fun to watch. Yeah,
with it being the 09s and the 2010s, we have a really good talent pool to pull from there because of my son Ryan is kind of that first year that I started the program. But there's been plenty of tournaments where I've taken 2 teams to, not just your tournament, but, actually state wars, and have put 2 teams and they've played each other in a championship, and has been a competitive game. So to see all those kids and friendships and kind of stay with the program, even when some of those kids may not be on the top team one tournament, the next tournament they may be on the lower team, to see the bonds that those kids have created and to keep seeing where they're going, and it's just an unbelievable thing every time we go out on a weekend. So really proud of that group of kids.
Yeah, and they're strong, and a lot of them played up in 16s. You guys would eventually lose in the championship. Is that was it Chicago made? I either call them Chicago made, Chicago strong. I think it's Chicago made, right?
Yeah,
Is that
Chicago made.
there are a bunch of good 08s that local 08s that really good players on that team as well.
Yeah, really, really solid team. That's why, again, playing those two divisions is really key and key for even them. Chicago made playing up against our older kids and getting good games instead of just blowing everybody out. It was a great experience for us, and playing some of those kids that just got drafted in the OHL, and some of those kids just won Mission Nationals. So the talent level on that rink between both teams was really good, and just wish we could get more of that instead of just one time. But yeah, the talent level out there was really, really good. So there were some fun games to watch.
Yeah, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the men's, but here's some footage with that gold championship game. The end was just a battle. I want to say it was 1-1. Both teams, a lot of pressure. Nobody scored. It went to overtime. Nobody scored, and the game actually had to go to a shootout. What's your feeling on ending tournaments in a shootout, Dan?
Obviously, with having a daughter as a goalie, I'm not a big fan of the games ending in shootouts. I'd rather see it go into an overtime, and whether it's 3-on-3 or just continue to play on 4-on-4. But understandably, I know, during a tournament in the weekend, and there's a lot of games and people having to travel and stuff like that, that eventually you have to kind of end it and go to a shootout. But again, with my daughter and having a heart attack and that, I'm not a big shootout fan.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. We keep them in the regionals to keep the flow of the tournament going, but for the NARCh finals and winter nationals, we have games go to overtime, and we've had situations where we've had a double overtime, then a triple overtime, then double overtime, and if we're going to run late for a tournament, that's a good reason to run late, and that's usually why NARCh is late. But the other men's game, it's at least worth noting. Roller Attack beat NCR. That was a good game too. That was a game that Adrian, who we talked about earlier, Adrian Wozniewski, was a big part of the win there for Roller Attack. And one of the cool things about this, out of the 6 teams, 2 of them actually came from California to play. So that was pretty cool to see the local teams get a mix of people they didn't even know, and vice versa. And it worked out. They were competitive games, which is what you want to see. So a couple of closing questions here real quick. First off, like old NARCh memory as a player, is there a place that sticks out, a goal that sticks out, a funny story that sticks out? What's, not to put you on the spot, but what pops in Dan's head first?
And I would say just all the unbelievable facilities that we got to play in back in the day, like the XL Center or the Florida one in Estro or whatever the Everblades played. But I would just say all the memories of just going to all these great finals, and but I would say finally winning the first NARCH Pro championship was probably my favorite moment. Like I said, we had a lot of second places. We had one of the best teams out there, and it just seems like once we got to the finals, we always seemed to come up a little bit short. But winning that first NARCH Pro championship was probably the one that I'll probably remember, the most. And
wow,
just
look at the beauties in this photo. That's you, low left. You look like you're just hitting puberty there, even though that was 2005. But yeah, a lot of legends in that photo, and that was in Estero, I believe, in 2005. So yeah, big one. Very cool.
It was great time, and a lot of friendships in that picture. So, hopefully we can get those guys back out for the 50 and over division next year, which would be a great time to get everybody together.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, part 2 of the question, you as a coach, more recent in NARCh. I mean, I'm going to guess what your answer is going to be, but what's your favorite moment so far on your second life of NARCh here as a coach?
You would think, that 16U Platinum Championship was pretty unbelievable. But I think the year before, my son's team, we went out there with 6 kids and a goalie, and didn't really know what to expect. I know they were pretty good. But in the championship game, I think we were down 2 goals, and we scored 3 goals within a minute and 23 seconds, I believe, to come back and win the championship. I think 3-2 against the Labeda Jets, which was a very, very, very good team. So just remembering those six kids winning the first championship at NARCh, and kind of really our first big championship with the kids that really kind of started my program and have been with me from day one, was really probably my favorite moments, just to see how proud I was of those 6 kids.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you. Known you for a long time, as a friend, as a guy who's still in this sport. I think we help each other out with our businesses, and appreciate you as a friend and the job you do as a coach. I've heard you have a lot of conversations with kids. I think you're one of the best ones out there in terms of, keeping things in perspective, but teaching them hockey things that they need to know, and, being able to coach them on the fly with mistakes that they make, and really develop them into young, great players. You do a hell of a job with that. So congrats, and we'll see you in a couple months in Irvine.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for everything. And like I said, keep growing the sport, and we'll keep doing this together.
Oh, for sure. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Okay, that's a wrap on our first episode. I know with time, it's just going to get better. We're going to have some great guests on here. And yeah, I'm excited about future episodes. Back to hockey, though. This weekend, we got a huge event in Irvine with 128 teams, 294 games. Brett Martin, who's my right-hand man with NARCh and in charge of all of our officials, he brought up the point this morning that we're using 50 people for this event between the refs, the scorekeepers, and the tournament directors. So it's a big production, and we're excited to bring it to you, and we hope that you have a great time, and we look forward to seeing you in Irvine. If you're not playing in Irvine, but you're interested in one of the upcoming events, the Marple team list will probably be out before this podcast is up. And then we've got events in San Jose, Escondido, and Bend, Oregon. We expect all 3 of those events to sell out, especially the Bend events. It's only a 1-rink facility. So if you're interested in playing in one of those tournaments, make sure you get on it sooner than later. Other than that, a lot of you will just see you at the NARCh finals. Once again, a reminder that the host hotel list is up, and you should not wait to book your room at least. You still have a little time to register for the event, but don't wait too long. That's it from us here. We'll see you in Irvine.